Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Panagiotis Bousounis. I'm the Cyprus Operations Manager for DNV here in Cyprus. So, today, actually, I have been given a rather provocative question to answer. How will a new building look like in 2035? Oh. Okay. So you can elaborate how a new building will look like on 2035 in the meantime. Actually, this question reminds me of these science fiction movies in the 70s where people were trying to represent how the world would look like in 2000, like with flying cars, running on water. I don't know how did that go. But in any case, 2035 is actually almost 10 years ahead of us. And taking into consideration the rapid pace of technological and regulatory developments, especially during the last decade, it actually makes a total sense to wonder how will ships look like in 2035. So ship design history has evolved throughout the centuries, mainly affected by the energy source and the means of propulsion and navigation. And having in mind how a vessel looks like today, like the oil tanker in the middle, do you believe that we are going to see futuristic designs materialize in 2035? Probably not. Sorry if this may sound pessimistic, but to my opinion, ships will actually look like more or less the ones that we see today, at least from the top, but they may be significantly different in the inside. So let's take a closer look. In 2035, ship designs will be actually affected by two main factors: decarbonization and digitalization. Decarbonization is a goal of our industry, of our world, that will force the vessels to become more energy efficiency and will introduce new types of fuels in our industry. On the other hand, digitalization is a trend, it's a new reality that already affects our lives, all industries, and shipping will not be an exemption. IMO strategy on greenhouse gas reductions is already affecting the new and the existing vessels, with regulations for EEDI, EXI, CII indexes, directing designers towards more energy efficiency vessels and, of course, towards alternative fuel options like LNG, biofuels, methanol, or even hydrogen. This means that in 2035, the vessels will already need to fulfill strict greenhouse gas emissions requirements and be prepared to continuously improve throughout their lifespan. Dual fuel engines, LNG, methanol fuel tanks on board, even wind-assisted propulsion systems will probably be standard spec for a future new building. And although it is quite early to talk about the fuel mix of the future, and even in 2035, we may not be in position to talk about a dominating fuel mix, we can be sure that a new building will need sooner or later to deviate from the current straight fuel path, namely a fuel oil on board originating from an oil refinery being burned in internal combustion engines. Future new buildings will need to provide fuel flexibility and bridging technologies in order to be competitive and relevant, taking into consideration that within the next decades, we will see parallel development of multiple alternative fuel paths where different energy sources may be processed to form different fuels, which may be rather consumed on board ships using different technologies. At the same time, digital technology will see numerous applications on ships based on onboard sensors, connectivity to shore, AI, computer-based decision-making support, or even automated functions. This will enable vessel crew to optimize the majority of the traditional shipboard operations, such as navigation, voyage planning, monitoring of equipment for their performance and condition, and little by little open the door towards remotely operated or even autonomous operations on board the ships. Still, a new building in 2035 will definitely be a manned vessel. Tasks on board may differ and be supported by intelligent systems, but not without the overall control and command of humans. So in a few words, in my opinion, ship designs and systems that we have already seen today as the exemption, as being in the forefront of technological development and innovation, will most probably be the rule in 2035. But what about the seafarers? Will they be ready to sail on a new building in 2035? At this point, I would like to present you a few insights from a recent study prepared by DNV with input from the Maritime Just Transition Task Force. As we can see on this graph, considering the several decarbonization scenarios of shipping, the number of seafarers that will require additional training due to the uptake of alternative fuels will rise significantly until 2050. As we can see on the graph, the least ambitious scenario, which is actually the one currently adopted by IMO, even from the late 30s, the number of seafarers working on ships with alternative fuels will increase year by year, and it is estimated that by 2050, 300,000 seafarers would need additional training. On the other hand, if we see the zero carbon by 2050 scenario, the very optimistic one, seafarers shall be trained for handling of alternative fuels already in the 20s. In this scenario, 450,000 seafarers will require additional training by 2030, while 800,000 seafarers would need training by mid-30s. In any case, it is actually rather clear that there is an immediate need for a suitable training infrastructure to be developed for future seafarers. According to our study, the road towards decarbonization and digitalization of shipping will require higher skilled seafarers with a strong safety culture. The alternative fuels impose additional safety challenges due to their characteristics such as higher flammability, explosion risk, or even in some cases toxicity. So the so-called enhanced safety mindset that we see nowadays on tankers or gas carriers or on the existing gas-fueled vessels must be transferred to seafarers on all types of ships. In parallel, digitalized ship operations will add new elements and increased complexity to the competence and skills needed for seafarers, such as interface with digital system, data-driven decision-making, and use of automated systems. As you may already know, our main concern in DNV is, of course, the safe operation of ships and their seafarers. It will take a holistic approach on safety to address the challenges created by decarbonization and digitalization, while trying to understand the elements of a safe maritime system in the future. DNV promotes the HOT approach, a system of human, organization, and technical elements that requires constructive interaction between these elements, which together create robust and resilient systems capable of continuous improvement. Still, we should always keep in mind that in 2035 and the years to follow, despite all technological developments, or better, due to all technological developments, and definitely during the upcoming transition period, human factor will remain the key element to safe sea operations. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, and we